सोसाइटी में ही आ गया हूँ, कोई दिखाई नहीं पड़ रहा है।
अच्छा अच्छा,
एक ही बच्चा भी आगे बैठा हुआ है।
ये ऑनलाइन नहीं किया है। मैं तो डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशन की ऐसी ही है। Yeah. Good morning, students. Welcome in next lecture of Math F211, Mathematics 3. Last time we have discussed about the Laplace transform, and I have just started for which function we have the Laplace. So for the Laplace, first we have to integrate. So when we say that means that integration must be must exist, right? So for that we have to check when that integral is the convergence. So from the integral calculus, we know that if you take the integral 0 to infinity fx dx, we say it is the convergent only if limit b tends to infinity integral 0 to b fx dx exists. Then we for the existence of this integral, it must be the absolutely convergence, that is the converges if integral mod of the fx dx converts, right? And this integral exists if there is any other function, then any other function, right, such that mod of the fx less than equal to gx, and this integral is existing, then we say the above integral will also existing here. So this is the theory for the existence of the integral. So if the integral 0 to b fx dx b greater than 0 must exist for the first convergence. If this integral is not existing, then you cannot say that this integral is the convergence. So to guarantee this, we have the sufficient condition. It is sufficient to assume that fx is the continuous or at least piecewise continuous, right? At least piecewise continuous over the interval of the integration, right? So in that case, we integrate over the subinterval, over the subinterval. So here subinterval, like the step function, sawtooth function, right? Uh, Application of the EMF, application of the force, removal of the force, right? Removal of the voltage. All these comes under the piecewise continuous function. If fx is the piecewise continuous for x greater than 0, for the existence of the LT, we have to see the behavior of the, because by definition for the Laplace transform we have the integral of the this 0 to infinity e to power minus px fx into dx. So we have to check the behavior of the integrand e to power minus px fx, right, for the large x. So to ensure that this integrate Demnis means this integral converges only when fx is of exponential order. Fx is of exponential order means mod of the fx less than equal to m, a large number. M is the large number or large constant, right, into e to power cx. So you know that exponential function is also in increasing, and if your function is increasing but with the lesser rate than the exponential, then we say our function is of exponential order. Means by chance for the large x, this fx is very very big quantity, but it is still lesser than the m into e to power cx. So that we say that the function is of exponential order. So here it is written, although fx may become infinitely large, means very very large, as x tends to infinity, it must grow less rapidly. It must grow less rapidly than the multiple of the some exponential function e to power cx. So every bounded function is of exponential order, because in that case we say that fx is less than equal to m. If it is a bounded, then we can say mod of the fx less than equal to m, and it will become the e to power 0x, e to power 0x. So here we can say for the bounded function, the exponential order with the c is equal to 0. If fx is equal to e to power ax, so we take the e to power ax, so it is nothing, it we take the c is equal to a. So e to power exponential function is also of exponential order. Any polynomial, if you take x to power n, c is any positive number, so that is also, as whatever the greater value of x you take, always this is less than m into e to power cx. You take the c as a positive number, right? So always it is less than the m into e to power cx. So every polynomial of any order, of any degree, right, of any degree, it is always exponential order. But the fx is equal to e to power x square is not of exponential order. So if it is not of exponential order, you cannot determine the Laplace of this function. For the for taking the Laplace transform, the function must be of exponential order. Clear? Now, if I am saying that function is of exponential order, if I am saying that function is of exponential order, so if you check the behavior of the integrand, e to power minus px fx. So mod, if you take the modulus on both sides, so mod of e to power minus px fx. So because fx is what we have said that fx is of exponential order, means m into e to power cx. So now on both here we have multiplied e to power minus px. So this side also we have to multiply with the e to power minus px. So this will become, it must be less than, if you take the modulus because of the exponential property, exponential order property. So if you take the modulus, so the modulus of integrand e to power minus px fx must be less than equal to m into e to power minus p minus cx. And naturally the right hand integral exists. So if the right hand integral is existing, because it is the e to power minus p minus c x upon minus p minus c, and limit 0 to infinity, so that limit will exist. So if the right side integral is existing or converges for for the p greater than c, for the p greater, only the condition is this factor must be the positive. So for being a positive, p must be greater than c. So if the right hand side is existing, then integral on the left hand side is also existing, or it is absolutely convergent, and absolutely convergent means Laplace exists. So that is the condition for the existence of the Laplace. Now, existence theorem of the Laplace transform. So here, if you take the modulus of the fp, what is the fp? Fp is the Laplace transform of, what is the fp? Laplace transform of the ft. So if you take the modulus of the fp, So it is nothing. It is the Laplace transform of the ft. And what is the Laplace transform of the ft? Integral 0 to infinity e to power minus px fx dx. Instead of the ft, you write the fx. So it will become the e to power minus px fx dx. So using the property of the integral, right, this will become the less than equal to integral 0 to infinity mod of e to power minus px fx dx. Using the trigonal property of the summation, right, we can write this as a less than equal to integral 0 to infinity e to power minus px fx dx. And this can be written as, because just now we have seen here, this integrand is also less than m into e to power minus p minus cx. So that we are writing here. So less than equal to m, you can take route outside the integral. So m into e to power minus infinity e to power minus p minus c x dx, and its integration will be the m upon p minus c for the p greater than c. That is the necessary condition. So from here, very important conclusion we can draw, that so the fp must tends to 0 as p tends to infinity, right? Fp must tends to 0 means Laplace transform must be 0 as p tends to infinity. It is the independent of the property of the fx. Means Laplace transform is whatever the fx, it is independent from that. Means every function cannot be the Laplace transform of some function. There is a condition that Laplace transform must tends to 0 as p tends to infinity. So as p tends to infinity, fp does not exist or 0, then that is not a Laplace transform. For example, polynomial. Polynomial means if you take the p square, p to power n, p cube, or you can say p square plus p plus 1, any degree polynomial, if you take, that is not a Laplace transform. Means that is not a Laplace transform of any function. That is not a Laplace transform of any function, because it is not satisfying the condition fp tends to 0 as p tends to infinity. In the similar fashion, sin p, cos p, exponential of p, log p are not Laplace transform of any function. So in quiz, generally we say that out of which are not a Laplace transform of any arbitrary function. So you have to recognize by the condition that fp tends to 0 as p tends to infinity. The rational function, right, lt, when degree of the numerator means, for example, p upon 1 upon p square plus 2p p plus 1 upon p square plus 2p plus 2. So the degree of the, if you take the rational function like this, so degree of the numerator must be less than the degree of the denominator, then only it can be the Laplace transform of some it can be the Laplace transform of the some function, right, some function, because it satisfies the condition of the Laplace transform. So here I have told you that for which function we can take the Laplace transform and which function can be the Laplace transform for the uh, some function. Now, sufficient. So, whatever the condition we have discussed, that is the sufficient condition, but not necessary, right? If it satisfy the condition, then its Laplace transform exists. But for the existence of the Laplace transform, it is not necessary to satisfy these conditions. So, whatever the condition we have discussed, that is the sufficient condition, but not necessary. Any piecewise continuous function of exponential order has LT, right? Has LT. So, for example, we have the counter example fx. So, uh, we have means every piecewise continuous of exponential order has the LT. But if it is not a piecewise continuous, then also sometimes we can have the LT. For example, counter example, we have the if you take the fx as a 1 upon root x. So for this function, it has the infinite discontinuity at x is equal to 0, not piecewise continuous. This is the function which is not piecewise continuous. It has the infinite discontinuity. So, but its integral 0 to b x to power minus half dx exists since it is the bounded for large x. So if you take the Laplace of this, Laplace of x to power minus half, so by definition, this will become 0 to infinity e to power minus px x to power minus half dx. Let us assume px is equal to t. Let us substitute px is equal to t. So the Laplace of x to power minus half will become p to power minus half, right? P to power means just you put the x is equal to, as you put, right, as you put the px is equal to t, so x is equal to p upon t upon p, right, t upon p. So this will become p to power minus half integral 0 to infinity e to power t and t to power minus half dt, t to power minus half dt. So now as you substitute t is equal to s square, so t is equal to s square, so this will become 2 into p to power minus half integral 0 to infinity e to power minus s square ds. And this is very famous integral during the gamma function also, when I proved that gamma of half is equal to root pi by 2, there also we have used this, right? So from there we have the integral of this integral, the value of in this will be the root pi by 2, root pi by 2, and we have the 2 upon root pi. So as you cancel this, so our answer will be the root pi upon p. So this is your fp of the x to power minus half. So here also you can see that this fp tends to 0 as p tends to infinity. So for the existence of the means the function which satisfy this condition can be the Laplace transform of the some function. Thereafter, in the mathematics, we have the some special function known as the direct delta function. So let us check what is this. Direct delta function means if you are applying a large, very large force, for example, clapping, right? Very large force for a small time, right? Like the means shock, right? So cloud burst. So all these type of the things. So we can represent, we can model through the direct delta function. If you are means there is a high voltage for a short duration, when we have the very high voltage for the short duration, then also we do this, right? So consider the function delta with parameter epsilon is given by, right? So here we have the delta, this is the epsilon. So if you define the delta function with parameter epsilon, right, for the variable x as 0 when x is less than 0, right, 1 upon epsilon and 0, right, 1 upon epsilon for the short duration 0 to epsilon, means if you have this, so at this place we have the very high value, right? Let this is the epsilon. So between the 0 to epsilon we have the very high value. After that, before that it is 0, after that also it is 0. But for the short duration, if we have the very high value, like in the shock, right? So so the direct delta function is defined or denoted by the delta x and defined as. So direct delta function is limiting function of this defined function as. So direct delta function we defined as delta x is equal to limit epsilon tends to 0. Means this small interval is very, very small. As the small interval is very small, 1 upon epsilon will become the very, very big. Very, very big. So if you have such kind, so that kind of the things we can define, we can model mathematically using the delta function, direct delta function. So now, if you have to determine the Laplace transform of the delta x, so its value is equal to 1. Its value is equal to 1. So by the definition, we know that what is the delta x? Delta x is the limit epsilon tends to 0 of the delta epsilon x, where delta epsilon x is equal to 0 for x less than 0, 1 upon epsilon for 0 to epsilon, and 0 for x greater than epsilon. Greater than epsilon. So by definition of the Laplace of means if you have to compute the Laplace of direct epsilon or delta epsilon x. So by definition, it will become 0 to infinity e to power minus px, right? Delta epsilon x dx. So if you write this as a right 0 to epsilon and epsilon to infinity. So between the 0 to epsilon, fx is what? 1 upon epsilon. Fx is 1 upon epsilon. So 0 to epsilon e to power minus px 1 upon epsilon dx. Now 1 upon epsilon you can take outside, and integral of the e to power minus px dx is the e to power minus px upon p. Just to put the limit 0 to infinity, 0 to epsilon. So this will become 1 minus e to power minus p epsilon upon p epsilon. Now, if you have to, so here we have this is the value of the Laplace of the delta epsilon x, right? Delta epsilon x as a 1 upon p, 1 minus p to power p epsilon upon epsilon. Now, as you take the limit on both sides, epsilon tends to 0 on both sides. So limit Laplace of the limit epsilon tends to 0, delta epsilon x is equal to 1 upon p, limit epsilon tends to 0, 1 minus e to power minus px upon epsilon. So left side is what? Left side in bracket is the direct delta function. So L of the direct delta function, and on the right hand side, if you apply the L'Hopital rule, means L'Hopital rule means you have to take the derivative of the numerator and denominator, right, independently. So 1 upon p limit epsilon tends to 0. So in the numerator it will become p e to power minus p epsilon. In the denominator it is the 1. Right? In the L'Hopital rule, you have to apply the derivative in the numerator and denominator with respect to epsilon. Now when we put epsilon tends to 0, this will give you only the p. So as you have the p, so p and p cancel out. So Laplace of the delta x is equal to 1. Now, most important part of the Laplace transform, that how to solve the differential equation using the Laplace transform. So application to differential equation, because main benefit for of the Laplace transform is you can convert the given differential equation into the system of equation using the Laplace transform. So now here the application of differential equation. So application to differential equation. So before the actual use, first we define how to write the Laplace of the derivatives. So if you have to compute the L of y dash, so by definition it is integral 0 to infinity e to power minus px y dash dx. So if you take it as a first function, this as a second function, so we have the e to power minus px y. If you do the integral by part, so we have the e to power minus px y with limit 0 to infinity minus integral 0 to infinity derivative of the first function minus p e to power minus px into y dx. And at the as you take the e to power minus infinity, that will be the 0. So at the upper limit it is the 0, and at the lower limit we have the minus b y at naught, y at the x is equal to 0. Right, in the lower limit we have the y at x is equal to 0, so it will become the y minus of y naught plus p. If you take the p outside, so in we have the integral, 0 to infinity e to power minus px y into dx. So what is this? This is the L of y. So in this case, L of y dash is nothing. It is the minus y at x is equal to 0 plus p into L of y. So that is the formula for the L of y dash. Similarly, if we have the second derivative L of y double dash, so Laplace of the y double dash can be written as Laplace of y dash derivatives. And by the above result, by this result, if you apply this result here, it will become p L of y dash minus y dash at 0, y dash at 0. And again you apply the same formula for the Laplace of the y dash. So as you apply the formula of the L of the y dash, so it will be the p of Ly minus y at x is equal to 0. So this will give you p square Ly minus p y at x is equal to 0 minus y dash at x is equal to 0. Similarly, if you have to compute the Laplace of the third derivative, so in the same fashion it will become the p cube L of y minus y at 0 minus y dash at 0 minus y double dash at 0. So in the same fashion you can increase. You can write the Laplace transform of any order derivative. So now you have the idea of the Laplace means Laplace transform. So now you have to find the particular solution of the differential equation y double dash plus ay dash plus by is equal to fx using the Laplace transform. So in this case you have to take by taking Laplace transform on both sides. So if you take the Laplace transform on both sides, so here we have the Laplace transform on left side y double dash plus ay dash plus by, and Laplace transform on right hand side Laplace of the fx. Since Laplace follow the linear property, Laplace transform is linear, right? Laplace transform is linear, so this will become L of y double dash plus a L of y dash plus b L of y is equal to L of fx. And just now we have seen L of y double dash second order derivative is p square Ly minus p into y. 1 minute. Here we have done mistake. P cube, that is the p, and here we have the p square. In continuous we have to write. So its formula will be the p square L of y minus p y naught minus y dash 0 minus y dash 0. That means here we have the p cube, here we have the p square, here we have the p. This is the independent of the p. The degree of the p cube will decrease continuously. So here we have the Laplace of the y double dash as a p square Ly minus p y at x is equal to 0 minus y dash at x is equal to 0. A into L of y dash. So L of y dash will be p Ly minus y at x is equal to 0, and p of Ly, right? as it is, and on the right hand side we have the L of the fx. So L of y you can take common from here, L of y you can take from here, L of y you can take common from here. So as you take the Laplace of y common, so inside the bracket we have the p square plus ap plus b is equal to L of the fx minus minus plus p plus a into y at 0. Now y at 0 and y dash at 0 are the particular value, are the particular value. Means now this is not the function of the x, they are the particular value. You have computed the y and y dash for the x is equal to 0. So from here L of y will become L of fx plus p plus a y at x is equal to 0 plus y dash for x is equal to 0 upon p square plus plus ap plus b. So it is nothing, this is the function of p, this is the function of p. So presently I have not told you right about the inverse Laplace transform. So after that what we have to do, y will become the Laplace inverse. If you take the inverse of this, so Laplace inverse of the fp. So by this you can determine the solution. So this is the approach to compute the solution of the given differential equation. So it is written, since function fx is known, so Laplace of the fx is a special function of p, since a b y at naught, y at x is equal to 0, y dash at x is equal to 0 are non constant, Ly is completely known as a function of p, right? So right hand side is the function of p. So just you have to take the inverse Laplace transform. So fx can be any arbitrary function. So for some function we will see how to take the Laplace transform. First I have told you Laplace transform is nothing, it is the linear in nature. So here we have defined the linearity of the Laplace transform if c1 and c2 are any two constants and f1 and f2 are function with Laplace transform. Means f1p is what? Laplace transform of the f1x. And f2p is what? Laplace transform of the f2x are the function with the Laplace transform f1p and f2p. Then Laplace of linear combination, linear combination means c1 f1 plus c2 f2 is equal to linear combination of the Laplace transform. Linear combination of Laplace transform, right? Laplace transform of linear combination is linear combination of Laplace transform, right? So we know that Laplace transform of the f1x is equal to integral 0 to infinity e to power minus px f1x dx by definition, right? Similarly, the Laplace transform of the f2x is equal to 0 to infinity, right? E to power minus px f2x dx. So this you can say that by definition. If c1 c2 are any constant, then Laplace transform of the linear combination is nothing, by definition it is the e to power minus px into fx into dx. And we know that integral follow the linear property. So as the integral follow the linear property, you can write the integral, right, by taking c1 and c2 outside the integral. So we have the c1 into integral e to power minus infinity e to power minus px f1x dx plus c2 integral 0 to infinity e to power minus px f2x dx. And that is nothing, c1 f1p plus c2 f2p. So means the Laplace transform is linear in nature, it follow the linear property. What is the linear property? That Laplace transform of the linear combination is Laplace transform of the linear combination is linear combination of the Laplace transform. Now here we have the one special property in the Laplace transform known as the first shifting property. So what is the first shifting property? Let Laplace of the fx is given to you as a fp, then Laplace of e to power ax into that function is equal to the f of the p minus a. That is the first shifting property. So if you have to compute the Laplace of the e to power minus e to power ax fx, so by definition it will become 0 to infinity e to power minus px e to power ax fx dx. So as you combine these two, it will become e to power minus p minus ax fx dx, and that is nothing, that is the f of the p minus a. That is the f of the p minus a. So here we have the example over this property, that if you have to compute the Laplace of the x square e to power 3x. So you know that Laplace of the x square, Laplace of the x square is what? Factorial 2 upon p cube. Factorial 2 upon p cube. So if you have to write the Laplace of the x square e to power 3x, that will become the factor. Means now what is this? This is the fp. So, uh, so if you have to multiply if you have to compute the Laplace of the x square e to power 3x, so this will become the f of the p minus 3. P minus 3. So what is the fp? Factorial 2 upon p cube. So just wherever we have the p, just you replace by the p minus 3. So it will become the factorial 2 upon p minus 3 whole cube. So need not to go by the definition. Using the shifting theorem, you need not to go by the definition. Just apply the shifting theorem directly. Let us understand by the another example the same thing. If you have to compute Laplace of the e to power 4x cos hyperbolic 5x, so we know that from the previous lecture text, right? Laplace of the cos hyperbolic 5x is p upon p square plus a square. We know that it is the p upon p square minus a square, and a is what? A is the 5. A is 5, so it will become the p upon p square minus 25. Now, if you have to, if you multiply, so it is nothing. This is what? This is the fp. If this is the fp, so Laplace of e to power 4x. By the first shifting theorem, it will become the f of the p minus 4. P minus 4. So wherever we have the p, there you write the p minus 4. So p minus 4 upon p minus 4 whole square minus 25. So just you solve this. So it will give you p minus 4 upon p square minus 8p minus 9. For example, if we have the function 1 minus x square e to power minus x. So we know that Laplace of the e to power minus x is what? 1 upon p minus a. That is the 1 upon p minus a. P minus a. So 1 upon p minus of minus 1. And Laplace of the x square is factorial 2 upon p cube or 2 upon p cube. So Laplace of x square e to power minus x. If this is the fp, so this will become the f of p plus 1. F of, right, f of the p plus 1. So that will become the 2 upon p plus 1 cube. And if you have to compute the Laplace of the 1 minus x square e to power minus x, so it by the linear property, this will become the Laplace of the e to power minus x minus Laplace of the x square e to power minus x. So for the both already we have computed. So that can be written as right. So this is the minus. So here 1 upon p plus 1 minus 2 upon p plus 1 cube. Clear? Or any doubt online? Any
No,
doubt?
sir.
Harish, Arju,
No, sir.
online? Clear? Now you have seen, for solving the for solving for solving the differential equation, you have seen there is a requirement to take the inverse Laplace transform. Means there we have the Ly is equal to Fp. Right side we have the function of p. So y is the solution of the differential equation. So y will become the Laplace inverse of the Fp. So let us define what is the Laplace inverse or inverse Laplace transform. So if L of the fx is Fp, Laplace transform of fx is the Fp, then fx is Laplace inverse of the Fp. Note, if L is linear in nature, L inverse is also linear in nature. So there we have the shifting theorem, right? So here also we have the shifting property for the inverse Laplace transform. Means in the reverse way we have to shift. If f inverse of the Fp is equal to Fx, then L inverse of f of p minus a is nothing e to power ax into Fx. Right? Means generally we have taken the here we have the L of e to power ax Fx is equal to f of p minus a. So just you take this L on this side as a L inverse. So that will come the L inverse of f of p minus a is equal to e to power ax Fx. For example, if you have to compute, find the inverse Laplace transform of p plus 3 upon p square plus 2p plus 5. So what is this? It is the Fp, and you have to compute the L of which function? L of which function? Right? Means you have to compute the appropriate fx. Right? It means you have to determine the given rational function is Laplace transform of which function. So that you can determine using the inverse Laplace transform. So L inverse of p plus 3 upon p square plus 2p plus 5 can be written as Laplace inverse of p plus 1 plus 2 upon p square plus 2p plus 5 plus 5. And this we can separate because the inverse Laplace transform also follow the linear property. So Laplace inverse of p plus 1 upon p square plus 2p plus 5 plus 2 Laplace inverse of 1 upon p square plus 2p plus 5. And now if you apply the first shifting theorem, as you apply the or more we solve this. So Laplace inverse of p plus 1 upon p plus 1 whole square plus 4 plus 2 into Laplace inverse of 1 upon p plus 1 square plus 4. So here you can see everywhere we have the p, in place of the p we have the p plus 1. So as you apply, means Laplace inverse of f of p minus a, that is equal to e to power ax into fx. So using this we have the e to power minus x, and Laplace inverse of the p upon p square plus 4 to e to power minus x, apply the shifting theorem, and inside the Laplace inverse we have the 1 upon p square plus 4. What is this fx? Fx is nothing, this is the Laplace inverse of the fp. Laplace inverse of the fp. So Laplace inverse of the f of p minus a can be written as e to power ax Laplace inverse of the fp. Laplace inverse of fp, and this is the well known, right? P upon p square plus 4 is the Laplace of cos 2x. We know that now. Laplace of the cos 2x is what? p upon p square plus 4, right? Laplace of sine 2x, Laplace of the sine 2x is what? 2 2 upon, right, 2 upon p square plus 2 square, p square plus 2 square, right? So as you take the Laplace on this side, it will become the L inverse of this. If you take the L on this side, it will become the L inverse of this. So L inverse of p square plus p upon p square plus 4 will be the cos 2x, and Laplace inverse of 1 upon p square plus 4 is the sin 2x upon 2. So and 2 cancel out. So here we have the required function. So this is the fx. So whatever the function is given to you, that is the Laplace transform of this function. So in this way, we take the inverse Laplace transform. Now, let us have this example. Solve the following differential equation by method of Laplace transform. Y double dash plus 2y dash plus 2y is equal to 2, and initial condition is given to you. Y at x is equal to 0 is equal to 0, y dash at x is equal to 0 is equal to 1. So here this is the initial value problem. It is the initial value problem. So for the initial value problem also, we can apply the Laplace transform. So what is the first step? Always take the Laplace transform on both sides. So Laplace transform of the left hand side, y double dash plus 2y dash plus 2y, and Laplace transform of the right hand side, Laplace of the 2. Since Laplace follow the linear property, this can be written as Laplace of y double dash plus 2 into Laplace of y dash plus 2 into Laplace of y is equal to Laplace of the 2. And by definition, Laplace of the y double dash is equal to p square L of y minus p y naught minus y dash at x is equal to 0. Then 2 into Laplace of y dash. So 2 into Laplace of y dash is what? P into L of y minus y at naught, and 2 into Ly is equal to L of 2. L of 2 can be written as L of 2 is what? 2 into L of 1. 2 into L of 1, and L of 1 is what? 1 upon P. So that is the 2 upon P. On the right hand side, we have the 2 upon P. Now, we take the L of y common. We take L of y common from here. L of y common from here. So, and we put, it is given to you, y at x is equal to 0 is equal to 0, y dash at x is equal to 0 is equal to 1. So that is become the 0, that is become 1, right? That is become 0. So we have p square L of y minus p into 0 minus 1 plus 2 into p of Ly minus 0 plus 2 into L of y is equal to 2 upon p, or p square plus 2p plus 2 Ly is equal to 2p 2 upon p plus 1. So here you can see you have converted your differential equation into the simple algebraic equation. So now from here L of y will become 2 plus p upon p into p square plus 2p plus 2. By partial fraction, this can be written as 1 upon p minus L of y can be written as 1 upon p minus p plus 1 upon p square plus 2p plus 2. And this can be written as 1 upon p minus p plus 1 upon p plus 1 whole square plus 1. So now if you have to compute the y, so y is what? Y is the Laplace inverse of this function. Laplace inverse of this function. So here we have written that y, the solution of the differential equation, is Laplace inverse of 1 upon p minus p plus 1 upon p plus 1 whole square plus 1. Since Laplace inverse follow the linear property, this can be written as Laplace inverse of 1 upon p minus Laplace inverse of p plus 1 upon p plus 1 whole square plus 1. So Laplace, what is the L of 1? L of 1 is 1 upon P. So this implies Laplace inverse of 1 upon P is what? It is the 1. And in this case, if you apply the first shifting theorem, it will become the e to power minus x Laplace inverse of P upon P square plus 1. And we know that Laplace inverse of the cos x, Laplace inverse of cos x is P upon P square plus 1. So this will give you Laplace inverse of P upon P square plus 1 is equal to cos x, is equal to cos x. So that is the Laplace inverse of 1 upon P is 1 by applying the shifting theorem, e to power minus x, and Laplace inverse of the P upon P square plus 1, that is the cos x. So that is the y is equal to 1 minus e to power minus x cos x. That is the solution of the given differential equation. So here the main benefit means if we have the complex problem, then easily you can convert the given differential equation into the algebraic equation, and algebraic equation are easy to solve. So from that solution, after taking the inverse Laplace transform, you can, right, you can find the solution of the given differential equation. So that's all for today. In next class we continue with some more example of the differential equation. Thank you. Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Thank you.